Welcome. This session is about harnessing the power of data and AI. We've got two expert speakers from Microsoft and Ataccama to talk it through with us. I'm David Terra, I'm the CEO of the Cloud Industry Forum, and I'm asking the questions today. So let's start with introducing our guests. Dima, can you explain who you work for and what you do, please?
Absolutely. Thanks, David. So my name is Dima Turchin, and I'm covering AI product marketing for Microsoft in 100 plus countries in a large region of CIMA.
Excellent. And Jay?
Hi, David. First of all, thanks for having me. My name's Jay Limburn. I'm Chief Product Officer at Ataccama. Ataccama is a global AI-powered data management company where we focus on unlocking the power of data and AI for allow our customers to drive business outcomes.
Excellent. Now, obviously, today's topic is all around AI, and we're going to start with AI readiness. What does AI readiness mean for the enterprise?
Yeah, maybe I'll go first. So for me, I would say I'd love to answer this question from my personal experience because I'm involved in several very large or in many very large customer projects in our region. And what I learned is when you look at which companies move the fastest, there are, I would say for myself, three categories of customers. The first category is really innovation companies, like companies who have innovation and new technologies as part of their key vision and as part of their leadership commitment and leadership priorities. And some of those examples might be G42 in UAE or digital native companies, which we work with, for example, in Israel. So those companies, they really bet on AI to transform their products, transform their services, and then really go all in even when the technology just arrives. The second category, from my side at least, if I separate it this way, is somewhat unexpected, because who would expect that companies in a regulated industry like FSI would be the first adopters of AI? And this, connected to your question about AI readiness, becomes no surprise when you think about those FSI companies. Take banks like AK Bank or Sasfin Bank or Moneta Bank in Czech Republic, or several insurance companies which implemented newest generation generative AI models in their products. Well, those companies for years were building data estates, were preparing their data processes so that they are becoming data-driven businesses. And suddenly when this new technology arrived, which enables new way of interaction, which enabled their customers to get better serviced with the same data they already had prepared for these projects, it was very fast for them to transform into this new generative AI era. And the third category, which is for me, like, again, one of the surprises, super highly regulated, but I can tell you a story like week one when we launched OpenAI in Azure. We received several calls from even level of the ministers of the countries in our region, which would say, this is exactly what I was waiting for. So they were building those projects of how to transform citizen services, government services. And suddenly this technology became available. And because these companies, because these governments, they have a lot of publicly available data, which they can use right away. They were really ready. So I would say the data readiness is really what makes company AI ready to some extent.
Yeah, if I could just jump in there, like I think the thing that stands out to me particularly to add to that is in that last category, the kind of like the larger, more established companies, all the work they've been doing over the last few years to get their data in the right position and so that they understand it is now really paying dividends. These companies have spent a lot of time running reactive data initiatives to collect and analyze and understand their data. Typically, it's been for regulatory compliance reasons. Now they find themselves in a position where, having done that work, they can start to utilize the output of that to fuel those AI programs. Because they focused on it historically, they're becoming AI ready. And then at Ataccama, because we provide the platform that allows them to do that, to establish the trust around their data so that it can then be used for regulatory compliance, but also to now fuel those AI workloads of the future. A good example, one of our customers based in Europe, a large manufacturer, has been working with us for a couple of years to run an enterprise level data quality program. And they've been really successful. They monitor and improve data quality across 26 different lines of business. And now as they're moving towards an AI future and figuring out how they can infuse AI in their business processes, those 26 lines of business are benefiting from a jumpstart now because their AI initiatives are already there, ready to be fueled with the quality data that they have available to them.
Well, let's carry on with that. What are some of the common kind of challenges or pitfalls that enterprises face when they're trying to ensure data quality for these AI applications?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And I think to a big extent, this new wave of AI is actually redefining some of the industry wisdom, if I will. For example, there was this known challenge that when you do AI or machine learning project, some people think that building a model is the most important part. But when you look at it, when you talk to data scientists, for example, 80% of their job was never training the model. They'd say around 20% of their work is on training the model. The rest is preparing data, designing features, designing selecting the right models to train, etc. And now with this new wave of Gen AI, well, model is just there usually. So you can just say, well, this model already out of the box can do what I need. But 80% of the projects now is connecting this new powerful AI model, sometimes multimodal models which can process speech, vision, tables, you name it, connecting it to your enterprise data. And again, this 80% of work of connecting data, which is retrieval augmented generation or RAG, which is then filters which you apply so that the right responses are delivered by those models. Assessing how the models works with data. Does it not use the data which it shouldn't use? All of those questions are becoming more and more important. And I would say that if you think about the challenges or pitfalls, I've been in the customer projects today or recently, which would come and say, the customer on their side, the CEO is very willing to go with this project. The CTO is really, they know what technologies they need, and they even did some testing. And they said, yeah, we want to go in. And suddenly at one of the first meetings, they were like, yeah, but can we exactly use this? Can we really give this data to this system? Are we sure that it will process and return what it has to return? And then we went back and reviewed what is our data architecture so that these systems, these powerful AI systems, really are applied to where they should be applied.
Let's get into a bit more detail on that. Can you share some of the key steps or best practices that companies should follow to prepare their data for this kind of AI deployment?
Let me go. So the first thing is, as ever in the world of data management, it's not as simple as just deploying the best piece of software that you can find to match your use cases. It's a combination of technology choices that you're making, which are really important, and then the cultural change within the organization. Chief data officers are obviously critical to being empowered to set up and drive this change. And historically, these chief data officers were brought in to kind of support the reactive regulatory compliance use cases to ensure a company can avoid fines and be seen as a responsible custodian of their customers' data. However, to be successful with AI, this is about infusing AI across the entire business. This means that the lines of business need access to high quality, trusted data so that they can be unleashed to innovate with AI. And for that, CDOs need to be driving a data strategy in a proactive manner, in an outbound push across the business. And this is why data quality is one of the top 3 priorities for CDOs at the moment, and why Ataccama, for example, integrates really nicely with Microsoft Fabric, so we can start to support the push down of the data into the lines of business in a way which is understandable. And then just on the technology side, it's important to be realistic with how your data landscape will evolve over the next few years. Lots of great work is being done by IT leaders to modernize their data and move it all into cloud data warehouses. But for the foreseeable future, at least, data is always going to remain across multiple systems. So avoiding lock-in and ensuring a technology choice that can work in a hybrid environment so you can understand your data quality and manage your data across that hybrid environment, across multiple repositories and different clouds, is actually fundamental to success of AI.
Well, we're going to move on to why data quality matters. So, Jay, in your experience, how does data quality impact the overall success and effectiveness of AI solutions in the real world scenarios?
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, the impact that having high quality trusted data to your business, it's not a new concept, right? For the past 20 plus years, people have been using analytics tools and dashboards to make decisions. And increasingly, there's been an awareness around determining if that data can be trusted and is the dashboard accurate in the story that we're gonna tell around that dashboard. And now we look at increasing the adoption of AI, and the same challenges it's the same challenges that exist, but to a heightened level. Because with generative AI applications, business are looking to transform customer service, modernize supply chain management, and automate many other key business processes. The stakes are a lot higher when you're using data with AI. And so you've got to make sure that those models have been trained on the most accurate data to deliver the desired results that you need. One wrong statement in an LLM-powered digital assistant to your customers can have serious consequences on your brand and your wallet. We saw that with Air Canada last year in the lawsuit on the LLM-powered chatbot, for example. So having trust and confidence in the data that you're using and the high levels of quality of that data is really, really important for those new AI initiatives.
So, Dima, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's not just about the data quality and how well data is prepared. It's also, I would say, in my experience, there are different AI systems can be applied to different AI models, to different data which company has. And when I say different data, let's take an example, which is, again, might be not very obvious. We work with some really restricted industries like military or jurisdictional system or governments, where they have some data which just cannot be public and cannot be trusted to any system in the cloud. And they would just go and take this data and apply something like AI models in disconnected environments. And in the same customer, they would build another part of the system, which is responsible for external website, guiding their site visitors or citizens with the regulations, with different questions for recruitment of the people to the army or something, which is publicly available data. And then it's a completely different system, which might be something like the most powerful, for example, GPT-4o model in Azure. And at the same time, there is new class of models, which, again, maybe to some very simple customer queries or very simple chatbots or very simple scenarios of summarization of some information, you can actually use this new thing which is called SLMs, or small language models, which is almost as powerful as the large language models, but order of magnitude cheaper, faster. And for some scenarios, it might be applied to the data which doesn't require that kind of extensive and deep analysis. And that's why the data you have, or the data, I would say, processes which you, or the processes in which different types of data are used, might actually use a very different AI models. And that's where, stepping back a little bit, the whole data management and the role of CDO and the role of the company data strategy becomes very critical, because it will define to a big extent their AI strategy.
Very good. Now, Dima covered this a little, but Jay, are there any specific industries or use cases where the need for high quality data before AI implementation is particularly critical?
I mean, look, first of all, I don't think AI is going to be limited to any one particular industry, right? We're just at the beginning of what is effectively a new industrial revolution. And there's so much potential for AI to improve the lives of citizens and drive success for business in unimaginable ways. But I do already see, however, like certain industries are more mature in their thinking, for sure, around the importance of accuracy, of trusting the data, and then how they use that to train their models. And we've got customers across many industries working with Ataccama to ensure that they've got their high levels of trust. And just going back to that AI readiness, make sure they're ready for AI so they can start experimenting and moving with use cases. A couple that spring to mind, like financial services, obviously. AI is already being used extensively in the financial institutions for credit scoring, fraud, trading, risk, and inaccurate data can lead to the wrong credit decisions and undetected fraud and incorrect trades, and ultimately significant financial loss and really, really bad customer experiences. The other one that springs to mind is manufacturing, and the ability to kind of transform manufacturing in the areas of quality control, predictive maintenance, improving supply chain efficiency and resiliency. Inaccurate data in those models can lead to defective products, unexpected breakdowns, and supply chain disruptions. And this can have serious reputational damage to these companies that get it wrong, as well as impacting, in the case of supply chain, impacting daily lives of people and what's available on the supermarket shelves.
Absolutely. Now, question for either or both of you. How do businesses apply AI to their data?
Yeah, that's a broad question, I would say, but how they apply is very different, of course. And I've been in situations when some of the customers would come with something like, we have a project, we have a data, we have a process which we want to transform with AI. Just give us access to these models and we'll do that, and they would do that. There are others which really go for advice because they say, we know this powerful thing is available now, but we need help with understanding the consequences, understanding what it takes to connect this to my data, because it's not obvious. There are a lot of technologies of how we connect this new, especially generation of AI models to enterprise data. And by the way, most of the projects today which we deploy for AI is not about the model. Well, there is, of course, the model governance and model quality piece, but really applying, and this is where customers really ask for advice. It might be regulatory questions. In many cases, they just like, what should I and what can I put into this system, what I should not. That's where, again, in a very sensitive use cases, we would either advise very transparent and explainable models, or just tools to explain how the model behaves, or even having human in the loop. So there are many questions. It's a pretty broad question, but I would say it really depends on the customer, on their maturity, and on the use case which they want to apply.
Before we move on to governance, Jay, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that we're still very much at the beginning of this whole industrial revolution, next generation revolution that we're going through. There's challenges that we see, particularly around regulation, around privacy, around data, around the ethics, around the use of AI. These things are still being figured out. And, it's very easy to think that we are further along in this evolution than we actually are, because everybody's talking about it every day. And the use cases that we've started to play with every day have now become critical to us and the way in which we get our lives done. But it's important to remember we're only at the beginning, and there's going to be a lot of innovation that takes place in this space. Microsoft obviously at the forefront of that. At Ataccama, we're trying to keep ourselves at the front of that and make sure that we're able to resolve the business challenges and the roadblocks that are in place around that responsible use of AI as companies move forwards.
Now, Dima, what role does AI governance play in ensuring data quality and integrity for these AI applications we're talking about?
Yeah, AI governance is such an interesting topic, because I actually realized that in many cases, this becomes a real decision point, the key decision criteria for the customers. We used to play with, or to work with the customers who are building the projects, and they're inquiring different vendors for their solutions, and we would actually compete with price or quality of our systems. More and more decisions are made, even for the systems which might be, I don't know, slower, more expensive, not that efficient. But when AI is governed properly in those systems, when there are appropriate filtering, when there is appropriate control over what model produces, when there is specific systems built to monitor and catch the incorrect or harmful behaviors of those models. So this becomes a really critical problem, or part of AI implementation in most transformative scenarios we are working with this. And as Jay said, I think it's a perfect thought. Like, we are just in the beginning, means like literally it's not like in 5 years there will be something new. I can assure you that from my personal perspective, in the next 6-12 months, we will see new, more capable models. We will see other modalities like vision, speech becoming really going next level. So we'll see a lot of innovation coming. So that's why approach to responsible AI, approach to make those models produce what they have to produce. How do we make sure their response is grounded in the data it's given? How we make sure, even in Microsoft, we spent almost a year before we launched, for example, the first GPT models in Azure. And the same happens today. Like, before we launch any model, we do a lot of extensive work to actually put the filters by design on the model level, but then introduce the tools to manage the model ethical, from model responses from ethical standpoint, how balanced the responses are. We see a lot of buzz on the market sometimes. Hey, there is a new model from some company out there which produces better benchmarks, and somehow customers don't jump on it immediately, because when they do, they realize that, well, there is probably 2 years of work which needs to be done on this model now to steer it to be able to ground it in the data, to make sure it produces the responses which are balanced from ethical standpoint, which are not harmful and things like that. And that's when, again, I think this is the key role for both people responsible for AI project as well as CDO, to make sure that their data is and their AI systems are connected in a responsible way.
Yeah, and like if I could just add to that, like you mentioned the CDO, and I think it's fair to say that the CDO role has evolved as part of this journey. Like the CDO role has been disrupted by the need to do AI. It's not the CDOs have been doing anything wrong historically. Their focus was always on protecting the business from data misuse and understanding the data. But the new role is about grown now to kind of be about enabling data in a trusted fashion to ensure that businesses can embrace AI and maintain that level of control still. They become the CDO is really the catalyst for AI now. Proactive data quality initiatives are a massive part of that role. The EU AI Act, we mentioned that previously, the EU AI Act is just at the beginning of the important regulation that we're going to see to be implemented globally and ensure that the use of AI is fair, ethical, safe, transparent. And these regulations can't be met without a robust focus on the data quality from the aspect of the CDO to make sure that the data is being used to train those models in the correct way to meet that regulation.
And I'd add data bias into that as well. Absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
tell me, I mean, you both highlighted how AI is generally applicable to just about every industry you can think of. How do you see the relationship between data quality and data management and AI evolving in the coming years, especially since the adoption is going to be across every industry?
Yeah, I think it will be across every industry. Like I was quoted recently as talking about pace cars and race cars. I'm a big motorsport fan. So analogy that fits with my other interests beyond data and AI is important. But if you think about it, the pace car is the data strategy. They're there to ensure the safety of the race, ensure the track is in the right condition and the race can go ahead. It's not particularly fun to watch, but it's an essential part of the race. The AI projects are the thrilling race cars that get to go at high speed, but they can't start the race without the pace car having done its job. Both the data strategy, for which the data quality is a huge part of, and the AI strategy are intrinsically linked, and will determine the successful outcome of the AI race that business leaders find themselves against their competitors every day.
Dima, what do you think?
Yeah, I think first of all, a big learning for me now. I just caught myself on the thought, Jay, that these pace cars. When I watch races, I actually never I didn't know the term of the pace car, what it is, and I wouldn't ever notice them there. But you're right. Like without them, it wouldn't be a race. It would be a catastrophe immediately. So I think that it makes perfect sense. Completely support. And I think, as we said through our call today, like the quality of the data really defines the quality of AI, or AI system, which you will get in the end.
Great. Now let's move to some conclusions and some takeaways for our audience. Can you provide examples of companies or organizations that have successfully leveraged quality data to enhance their AI capabilities and user experiences?
Yeah. So first of all, AI is going to have an impact on all of us. I think we know that on our everyday lives. If I was to ask the audience here for a show of hands on who used ChatGPT in the last week, pretty sure everybody would put their hands up. 2 years ago, probably people wouldn't know what ChatGPT was, for example, right? AI in particular has a real opportunity to transform the work of the business user, no longer relying on deep technical skills or waiting for requests to go into the IT team to operate a particular task. Many more tasks are going to be available to less tech-savvy users through the implementation of generative AI inside business process and software applications. With Ataccama, we're spearheading this with the AI-powered features we've built into our platform, which allow workers to become knowledge workers and create and have access to high-quality data to drive better outcomes in their AI projects without the need of requests going into the AI, into the IT teams. These AI projects are now becoming real, and we're working with many customers who have pivoted their data strategies to focus on data strategies that enable AI across their business. And we've got a ton of them you can read on our website. For these businesses, though, the story is the same. It goes back to my pace car, race car analogy from earlier. The success of those AI projects will depend on their ability to provide trusted data to the businesses. and ensure that they've got a modern data strategy in place with data quality at the heart of it to ultimately turbocharge those AI programs and completely disrupt their industry and be able to beat their competitors.
Yeah, and again, I love this thought, and I think, Jay, when you said some things, it also came to my mind that I remember the first months of when we were launching in Azure this ChatGPT thing, and we had a lot of experts on the market working with it, and there was I recall some of these interesting webinars or posts, blog posts, which would say this is all buzz because look how incorrect these systems can go. So the people would feed it the questions and they will get completely unreliable answers because, well, those systems, they are, systems which give you answer based on some probability, not always exact answer by default. And it seemed like at some point, like, well, maybe it is not so easy to make it, to implement it into real production environments. But a year from then, I think it's a bit more than a year when we launched OpenAI models in Azure. I can tell you there are many thousands of customers which use these models today, new generative AI, not just them, but other models as well. But generative AI is, of course, the big thing now. Thousands of customers using in production on a scales which we never saw. So it's like they deploy it, completely transforming their products and services. And there are ways to ground these models in their data. There are ways to steer those models, to monitor and manage those model responses, to give it the right, to apply the right approach so that those models produce the results only which you expect them to produce. And that's where I think my big learning was, if I look back and you think why some companies implemented that and moved very fast and moved at scale and the others didn't, I think if you give me a customer who would give me their data strategy and data architectures before the project, with high probability, we can actually say whether they will be successful with their AI project or not. Because if they're not having the right data strategy, the right data platform management solutions implemented, they probably will spend months and months to try to get their data together, even if you know how to approach the models. And the others will be very fast because their data strategy is there. Their vision is connected to their data strategy, and you just add one component there, which again, then with the best practices and tools, you can implement responsibly and implement with the right accuracy for those tools. So again, if I can leave it with one conclusion is, I think that data quality really, really defines to big extent the success of AI projects. And that's why the companies should really focus on this component.
Absolutely. Now, it's my last question for both of you. What advice would you give to companies that are actually just starting to explore AI integration, but they're concerned about these kind of data quality challenges we've been talking about for the last half an hour?
So let me take that one. I think we've talked a lot about the AI pieces, but focusing on understanding your data and enabling it for AI means really focusing on implementing a robust data strategy, looking at the evolving role of the chief data officer, how that chief data officer role obviously has a primary day job to protect the assets inside the company and understand those assets, but thinking about it in a proactive way so that the data-driven programs to go and support having access to high quality data across the business is a primary concern and mission for that data team.
Yeah, and maybe just a couple of words from my side, from AI perspective. I would say for those companies who are just starting or thinking to start or thinking long to start, probably you shouldn't wait any longer today, because everybody is really looking into how some AI components can improve their products and services. So most probably your competitors are already working on some AI project, but you shouldn't probably just jump all in, try to do AI for the sake of AI. Find where it makes sense, apply the right AI to the right data you have, and then try to win those small successes in your organization. You will see immediate impact, and then move forward from that.
Great stuff. Jay, Dima, that's been fantastic. Thank you both very much. Well, I think hopefully you've got a lot of insight and ideas out of that. Obviously, data quality and data governance is crucial. And as Jay was saying, whether we call this the fifth industrial revolution or the era of AI or whatever, it doesn't matter. We're in the thick of an AI revolution. And I think the last advice there is to get on board quickly. If you want to find out more, you look down into the comments below this show, and we'll see you next time.